To you. Great, thanks for joining us. It's about 3 p.m. and we thank you very much for your company as always. Today being a Tuesday, of course, we have a lot to discuss, including the politics of the mountain, reopening of schools, particularly for grade 4, class 8, and Form 4 students. That happened yesterday. But for now, let me quickly introduce the panel that I have in studio so that we can start the conversation. I have Eric Regalo, I have Wanjoy, and I also have Maina Kamunya. Very quickly, each one of you can say hi, and then we begin.
Viewers, good afternoon. We are here to discuss what's happening in our country. Everything that is happening is for the good of our country. Depends on how you look at it, but it's all how you argue in your mind, and how we are going to deliberate. Some of these issues are going to make us think either how we are going to solve them positively and how we're going to move forward as a country.
All right. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, viewers. The pleasure to be here. Looking forward to a candid discourse.
All right. Maina Kamunya.
Good afternoon, viewers. Karibuni sana Taifa TV.
Hi. All right. I want us to kickstart this conversation, Eric Regalo, as a medic. Finally, yesterday, the schools reopened. I don't think there's ever been confusion in the Ministry of Education like yesterday was. How would you rate its preparedness so far?
First of all, it was illegal to have the school reopen.
It was illegal?
Yes. The courts had put an injunction.
Yes.
The school should reopen when they have a good discussion and everything are in place. So schools are reopened. Is it legal? It is illegal. But you see, you cannot go caning kids who are already in school. Yeah. So however much they should sit and just find a way that for the continuity. Secondly, schools were reopened. Yes. Were all school prepared? I'm not sure, and we are waiting to see. But what I still argue about negatively is we should not have hand sanitizers in school. Okay. Let's ensure all schools have piped water and running water. Remember in 2000 we had water to every homestead by 2000. That was the Moi time. Now we are in 2020 and some homesteads still don't have water. We should not be on that course. We should not be giving wheelbarrows when we know very well some schools don't have water. When you are in a position of power, ensure things are done well. And that's why when the DP was told to come and assist the president in COVID-19, what did you call it? COVID-19 initiative, the last meeting, he skived. He literally skived. If he didn't skive, he will be assisting to pipe water in schools, but not giving wheelbarrows and not offering what wheelbarrow will be used for. I can go for a wheelbarrow and do nothing with it.
Okay. All right. Let me hear your opinion about the reopening of schools. Wanjoy, very quickly.
Well, I'm one of the people who supported the government to reopen schools. Because at some point, we had to reopen the economy, social life, and it's very unfortunate that some of the people who kind of are talking of ill about the reopening of the schools are the same people who celebrated when bars were open. The same parents who made merry when bars were open are now coming out saying they don't have money.
They are not even prepared.
They are not prepared they are not prepared to pay school fees. They are not prepared to take their schools back to school, but they are prepared to take something for their throat. It's so unfortunate.
Ready to sanitize them.
Ready to sanitize their throat. However, with the reopening of the schools, I think we were ill prepared, because last week we had this debate, and I did highlight a few issues that the ministry had to take in mind and make sure that they implement between when they announced that it was on Tuesday and yesterday on Monday. But within the week, very little was done, or nothing was done. Because today in the morning, I went round in my village trying to assess the situation of the turnout. Yes. And it's very sad that over 50%, not even 50, over 60% of our students remained at home. Especially those who go to private schools. Yes. Because those who are going to private schools are expected by the school management to come and pay fee. Unfortunately, most of these parents are hurting. They don't have money to even feed these kids, but the school expect them to pay. In this same line, I want to refer the government to what the government of Uganda the other day did. When the president of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, decided to reopen schools. The first reopening, so is Kenya. He decided to extend a grant to private schools, whereby those schools that operate as private schools were given something to make sure that with the reopening, bearing in mind that parents are already hurting, we can ensure that for the next 2-3 months, maybe a term, that these schools are sorted out with maybe food, teachers can be paid, and other things. So as we speak today, we are at a very hard place. Schools, most of them are not open, especially
the private schools.
Private schools. Those in public schools were ill prepared because I expected that the government knew that at some point within the calendar year they were supposed to open schools. So they should have moved in with speed to make sure that they built more classes, which they didn't. They installed water facilities, which they didn't. It was in fact, I saw some video going around social media where students are being fumigated.
In fact, that's why I want us to move this conversation, Maina Kamunya, because obviously I understand head teachers and principals are put in charge of ensuring that the policy by the Ministry of Education in terms of how the students should be handled in school is actually adhered to. But I understand, and of course, we saw it when the Ministry of Health banned the spraying booths and spraying actually in total. Why were those girls being sprayed yesterday and with what chemicals?
Thank you, JJ.
Yes.
I think there's some quite misunderstanding of maybe how these things should be done. Because now sometimes you don't understand. There are schools where they don't have even piped water, as the doctor was saying. So now maybe the only option they are left with is to spray. But maybe my question would be, that sanitizer that they were using to spray those girls, is it the certified one? You get? Because if it is the certified one, I have no problem. But if it is hii ingine mchochoro inaweza kuwa mbaya. Because you remember there are even some sanitizers you'd use inakuharibu ngozi yako, unaanza kuchoma ngozi yako. So I would think if it was the right sanitizer, I have no problem. But if it's near,
this was not a sanitizer. This was actually spraying.
That's what I'm saying. If it's the correct one, I have no problem. But
you have no problem with spraying.
I have no problem.
Because remember,
of the health no, because you remember, go to Kiambu hapa in the I think Kabete market.
Yes.
They still use that booth.
The spraying booth.
Yes. What's the difference?
Okay.
What's the difference between your mama soko na hiyo Ashure?
By being there, does it make it legal?
No.
When the Ministry of Health.
You see, I said here the last meeting, everybody was jangling. Nobody knew how to fight COVID, but we are trying to do it the right way. You get? We are trying to do it to fight it in all ways, in all means that can come into your mind. So I'm saying, maybe I have no problem with that. But what I would say,
as long as they use the right
chemicals, I have no problem. But what I'm saying is, I think it's the high time that we ensure that every school have running water. Let us avoid sanitizers. Use running water and soap. It will be good. The second thing. There's also a very low turnout for those who are going back to, especially the class 8 and form 4s. And I would request that maybe there are those girls that got pregnant during the period, and I would request those head of institutions, please allow those girls to go back to school. You get the point? Now, at least they don't lose. Because I was for the idea that the schools should reopen as fast as possible. Because I knew there are some who, if you stay for so long without going to school, maybe, and there are those who are advanced in age, maybe they would get to a point and feel, you know what?
The brain gets blunt.
Oh, of course, yes.
Explain to us about that spraying.
I'm negative about spraying.
Yes.
As we are told that we have something in our body called the mucous membrane. These are the eyes, the nose, and the throat. As you spray people walking through the booth, are they not breathing? So what will they be breathing when you're spraying? They are breathing the chemical that you are spraying, which is not supposed to go into the mouth.
Yes.
They actually open their eyes, so they are looking in through. So it could hurt their eyes, it could hurt their, what you call the mucous membrane, nose all the way to the anus. So spraying is wrong.
Okay.
We are taught and told that the easier way to manage COVID is make sure you wash your hands, because we touch a lot of things. Make sure you cover your nose and your mouth, so that because it's aerosol, you don't talk through or even inhale anything that has aerosol. And that's it. So when you're spraying, what are you doing? And you sprayed that person and the person goes away. Does that mean that person will not touch any surface? Now that you sprayed the hands. Spraying is uncouth. After all, what you're using is a pesticide spraying gadget. Are you spraying pesticides or humans?
Because Maina Kamunya appears to say as long as we're using the right chemicals. And we were here perhaps
Which
looking at the
chemical
Wait a minute. Looking at the Ministry of Education released just the other day when they said that the schools were reopening. There was no reference to anything like spraying. It was just soap and water and sanitizers.
There were soap,
but you see,
water and sanitizers.
Yeah.
There was nowhere we are talking about spraying. Again, if at all they decided to spray, so at what ratio were they measuring their chemical to water? If it is chlorine, at what ratio did they mix chlorine to water? You know, we should be very careful when we are spraying. We don't hurt people. These are humans you're spraying. It's not mboga you're spraying. And you may hurt them further. And some people react to many chemicals. Yeah. So you could spray someone, the next thing you're taking them to ICU with anaphylactic shock. So we should stop some of this. And that's why I'm against hand sanitizer, because some of these chemicals you don't know. But water is water. Water is water. Just use water.
And so, what was your defense?
But you see, I think from what I'm understanding, and yesterday I had the privilege to go to some schools, all the way to Keno. And what I understand that these schools are doing, they have partnered with the hospitals that are around them. Okay. So what you do is, like for instance, that girl, the St. Michael's girl, Ikopare Keno. So what they have done, they have partnered with Marago Hospital. So any chemical that they need, they must be prescribed by the doctors. So when they are spraying, they were doing it purposely for the first time because we are coming from different areas.
So what you're telling me, Maina Kamunya, hold on a minute. What you're telling me is that there are schools that are deliberately going against the directives of the Ministry of Education.
No, get me right. I'm saying
I want to get you right.
You partner with the hospital that is around you.
The only partnership allowed by the Ministry of Education is when there is treatment to be sought, right? And every school was actually linked. Hold on a minute. Every school was linked to the medical facility near them, just in case there are any other or there are emergencies. But there was no directive on the use of spray.
The directive was two things: water and soap, and hand sanitizer.
So those persons that are using chemicals or spraying, whose directive?
Okay, I may not know that one, but what I'm saying is, they are partnering with these hospitals with hospitals that are around them, so that in consultation of anything that may arise, maybe in terms of arrangement, in terms of diet, in terms of whatever, the hospital can be able to guide you because they are medics. They know better than the teachers. So they also are able to address, maybe there's a teacher who has heart failures or these non-communicable diseases. So how do you ensure that this teacher does not come so close to the children, because a student maybe, you get to the point. So the medics are coming in to ensure that everything runs smoothly as expected.
All right.
Did you ask them about the payment of medics? Because now too much work to medics, and are they paid in Muranga?
Okay, what I understood is they are creating rooms for everything. I don't know that part. I don't know about payments.
Because Kiambu they are not paid.
Just a minute. I didn't get to know about the payment. But what I heard and what maybe I'm sure of is that the hospital have already offered a room in case of emergency. Okay. You get the point? Then
and those are the hospitals that were linked
around the hospital that is around just that school. Also in the school they have created a vacancy. So in case of an emergency, maybe before the student gets, or maybe there are many, they can be able to be treated both in school and.
Okay. Which is good. What was your point?
Let me come in. And I need to fault the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health. Yes. Because they needed to invest heavily in capacity building, whereby teachers had to be taught how to handle the situation. Because we don't want situations whereby teachers are experiencing with our kids on all manner of things on how to control and handle COVID-19 patients. It was I want the Ministry of Health and Education to come out clean and explain to Kenyans whether what we saw is correct. We don't want other incidences where we'll see our kids being experimented with. We want to make Kenyans to be sure that kids going to school are very safe. Better still, let us stay with our kids at home. Yes.
Very quickly, I want us to move away from that issue in spring and talk about private schools. Because yesterday, listening to Minister George Magoha, he talked about no child should be sent home because of school fees. I'm thinking about private schools generally. When Johi was talking about grants given by the Ugandan government to private schools, there are no grants already given to private schools in Kenya. Obviously, the struggling that they have had for the last, 6 months, they've not paid their teachers. In terms of infrastructure, they're not even ready. And then you're saying no child should be sent home because of school fees, returning to, I hear some of the private schools are actually rearing chicken.
The same question I would still put is,
Yes.
You are linking hospitals with medics, and most counties are on strike now. Kiambu, things are not working.
Yes.
And they were on strike. They even walked to the governor's office demanding for their pay. And you're linking Kiambu High to Kiambu sub-district, whatever, Kiambu, let me say Kiambu level 4. So if at all there's an emergency in Kiambu High, so who are they going to find in Kiambu level 4? These questions. So by the time we are opening schools, my friend, let's clear even the debts we have with people. Pay them their money, let them go back to work. They have not refused to work, but you cannot overburden them and still you want them to work and you're not giving them their dues. Pay people their money and they will work. The same thing now with the private school.
Yes.
You want private schools to work, and they can't work without money because they run using the fee that is paid. Fees, are they going to be paid in full? Maybe not. We are actually towards December. Maybe not. And how are they going to run? So we really need to see how things work, and we need to link the Ministry of Finance with the Ministry of Education to support some of these very, very good private schools, because they offer education to our kids, and our kids must learn. But in such situations, also in private school, they have not been paying their teachers. Have they been paying them?
No, they haven't.
They haven't. So how will teachers come after a long, many months of not working, and they start just coming to school? Where are they going to start getting the very usual transportation cost and many other things? So how are they going to start? Many teachers left and started some other business, which actually I would think, for example, you start selling mitumba viatus, and then mitumba viatus start doing well than what you are doing. Will you go back to school to teach? You won't. So some of these things are happening, only that we are not seeing them. They are happening. So how are they going to cover such?
All right.
And let me tell you, private will be more problem than public, because public teachers will go back because they are salaried. Private teachers may not come back. And how are we going to prepare them for exams? And
Maina Kamunya, you, because of the rounds you made, because you're the one who has authority perhaps because it's here from here to Keno, did it give you a picture of adequate preparedness on the side of government in terms of receiving the students back to class?
Especially when it comes to public schools, I think they are better. They are better. You can't compare public school and private. Public school, especially when you say that the only Form 4 can come back, I think they have enough space. Because then you allow, then you make sure that those classes that are used by Form 1, Form 2, Form 3s, they can accommodate the Form 4s. Maybe they're avoiding maybe dining hall and hall or whatever. But when it comes to private school,
Yes.
they don't have the privilege to have those big grants. They don't have that space. So it may be a challenge to them. In fact, most of the private schools, like any other business, most of them will collapse, and maybe some of them will never come back again.
All right.
You get the point. So what I saw is maybe the government need to chip in, raise the cash as fast as possible. Today in the bulletin, in the afternoon bulletin, I saw the head of private school in Kiambu. They were talking in Kiamba with MP, and was saying the money that they were given, 130 shillings per student, is not enough for public schools.
130 per day or
130 per student.
Even the capitation
Per
itself,
student for how long?
even
Exactly,
it's talking about capitation,
capitation, you see.
and even that money you're talking about, the capitation
It's not
money
yet
is yet to
released.
hit their accounts
Of
in
course,
the
yes.
first place.
You see, it's not yet released.
Yes.
So they are saying it's not enough. They are requesting government to chip in and do more funds so that they're able to run smoothly. Because you see, they are projecting to have a term that is so tight,
Yes.
and so with no breaks. right? So how do you go about this period without money? It's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it possible, and probably this is the last question as we deal with this, was it possible to have transition? Because it appears like government was not only interested in transition. When you're talking about grade 4, class 8 and form 4, was it possible then to have a transition without necessarily having to subject these people to an examination? When you're looking at the risks involved now that they have opened schools?
Well, it has been a norm for a long time in Kenya that before you transit from one level to another,
yes,
you have to be assessed. And for your information, in the next few days, upon now reopening, our students are supposed to be reassessed so that the schools can know where to start from, because they have been away at home for a long time. So they need to be reassessed so that the teachers can know where do we start. Do we now start the syllabus afresh, or do we continue from where we stopped? However, allow me to go back to what the CS said about schools in the private school accepting kids without money. He's also on record saying that people take their kids to private school by choice, or maybe on choice, which is very true. Because, but unfortunately, he forgets that basic education in Kenya is a fundamental right, and it is the business of the government to make sure that all kids, and that is why we have a 100% transition from class 8 to form 4. So the 844 system as it was is a basic fundamental right that should be guaranteed by the government, and the enjoyment of this right should be safeguarded.
I also
by the
had
government.
him say, if you cannot afford the private school fee, just bring your child to the public school.
Yes, that is true, and that is why I'm coming in. And I want to say this: just assume that all the private school closed down. Already we have a crisis in public schools. We have so many kids, and with such a crisis as COVID, where we want to achieve a social distance, assuming now private school closes down, and now all these kids in a private school now have to come and already come and get absorbed into public school. What kind of a crisis are we headed into? So the
but we can, it can be accommodated.
I think
you see, just a minute. You see,
Okay.
we are talking of that transition. So if it happens that most private school closed down, so the only option I think the government would have is that then don't allow the others to come back. Allow this grade 4, form 4, and class 8 to come back only.
Let me ask you,
get
for
the point.
example, you have a very good example. Take Mweki Primary School with 3,000 students, if I'm not wrong.
Sure.
But just take about, that means then if you were to calculate, they have about 700 KCP or 600 KCP students. Then think about schools around Mweki that have closed down, private schools. If you were to add them to this number, where do you get classes? Because I understand, for example, I saw a school called Pioneer, I think in Moranga, where two classes were being occupied by only the KCP students were occupying 2 classes. Right now here they're occupying more than 20 classes. How will that be possible?
I think from what, because the CS had given this example,
Yes.
you can get this student from maybe that make school. Ensure that you get them to those other schools that are just around there. Just facilitate the transport as a government. Just a minute, Daktari. You see, we are talking, the government can be able to do this for the sake of the student. If only it will be that, maybe those class 4, grade 4, class 8 and form 4s. That can be handled. But when it comes to the whole school, then now it becomes a problem.
That is not
brother, let me. Why do we do census? Why do we do census every 10 years? For planning.
Yes.
Where did we lose it? Well, when I was in primary school, I would say there were no private schools, because I did my primary to 95. There were no private schools, and the private schools that were there were known. Peponi was there. No one could even step there. How would we go there? There were other primary schools, but they were high end. So we all went to public government schools. Whether rich or poor, we shared the same class. It assisted us in cohesion. You would come without shoe, mwingine amekuja na viatu. The guy with a shoe will end because it will be not good for him to walk on shoe alone.
Yes.
So we all had to cohese, and it gave us that survival and tactics up to today. But we lost it somewhere. I remember the school up this side, Juja, I mean, we take the area, you were talking of a school there. I remember Kuraiha was there, and some few ones. And those were the only schools, not any other. And everyone was going to those. Then when we went through census, we were planning and we knew our country is growing. That's why we plan roads, we plan many things after census. But when we planned school, where were they built? CDF came not to build new schools, but to add on classes. And that's why you find every school CDF imeongeza madarasa.
So I can understand you. Are you trying to say they're not enough public-private
No,
schools?
they are not.
Private schools
Actually,
to fill the gap of
let
quality.
me now tell you.
Yes.
Private school, how it happened, when a private school came,
Yes.
lack of planning, we had too many teachers outside who were not employed. So what happened, they started their own schools. Because private schools are actually started by teachers, majority of them.
Sure.
They started their own schools. And then they took students from who could manage to come to those schools, and now they staffed government schools from students. The government can take us back if we turn this thing twice. One, I'll give you two examples. We need to change the name of government schools and call them state schools. Like we stop saying government hospitals, say state hospitals, because all of us are government.
Yes.
Okay? You call them state hospitals, state schools, so that the state takes these schools. Okay? So we have private and state. So when you say private and government, what are you saying? They are all government, even private is government. So when we do that, state will we
I
stay.
went to a DEB school. I don't know where you place.
So
DEB primary school,
such schools will assist and will move forward. What is wrong with a private, a public school? There's nothing wrong. Actually, they're the best schools. They have the biggest compound, the football fields. What you expect of a school is in the
Let's come back
government.
to the main point. You're saying it's simply impossible to have the students from private schools being accommodated in public.
It's not possible.
Okay.
Remember, even feeding in private schools is different. You bring them to government school. These kids are fed well. Even their own sukotas is well made. How are they going to do the githeri this other
Sukotas
side?
is what again?
Githeri.
All right. Quickly make your point so that we wind up.
Listening to Wakili Kamunya make assertions that the government is ready and is prepared to absorb all these kids.
Yes.
It's very sad. I don't know if he has just landed from the moon or maybe he has been around. It is in this very country whereby we see kids in Turkana, Marsabit going to school under a tree. How do this government is unable to construct classes in such places? How then do we expect them to absorb kids
From private.
from private schools?
But you see,
Do you want to have a right of reply?
but you see, my friend, let's be realistic.
And clearly you didn't land from the moon. You came from Kenya.
Of course, yes. I come from, you see, what I'm saying is,
Yes.
let us be realistic. Go to Baringo today. There's a national calamity there. So, does the government have any way to fight national calamities? No. You just understand the situation how as it is. What I'm saying is, from my understanding and from the assessment that I have done, I'm saying a good number of public schools have the space. They have that advantage, so they can be able to accommodate. Let me take for
Come on, yeah. Schools are closing because even a pit latrine they don't have.
But you see, what I'm saying is,
Yes.
go to where the members of parliament have been serious and they have worked well with the CDF. I can take you, for example, here, Juja. Go to Juja.
Yes.
Go to maybe Mathioya. Go to Kiharu.
I'm not sure you can speak
Kiamba.
authoritatively about.
I'm talking about where I have been.
I'm from where? I'm from.
Mathioya. I know you're from Mathioya. Go to Kiamba.
Yes.
You see, you'll get schools that are better off. But when you go to around Adi Kandara, you saw that picture it was on the
Yes.
social media.
Yeah.
So how do you expect a student to go to such a toilet? But you see, it's a failure of that member of parliament because he have the kitty, the CDF
Wow.
kitty. You get the point?
Wow.
No, allow me to make my point. The CDF have
The
kitty.
CDF kitty, its sole work is to construct classes. That's
No,
what you're
but
telling me.
school is a priority.
Okay.
You get the point? And what you do is you ensure that whatever is priority in your area, because where I come from, maybe Juja, a priority may be schools and security. Just a minute. Just a minute.
Before he misleads the
Just a
public,
minute. Just a
I
minute.
need to tell Kamunya and his Wakili. CDF kitty is capped. There's an amount of money that is allocated for security, another one for education, and you cannot go above the cap.
But you see, my friend, you can light and petition that argument. You get the point? Because I'm saying, you said I'm not living in Moon, and I think you're living in Moon. Where we are today, you can change, you can negotiate because of what
so let's
is your
assume
need.
you go to Saku constituency. You're saying because students there are learning under trees, it's their MP who has failed them.
What was the MP doing? You have the
let me. That's what I would say. The
You know how wide
let me not talk about. Listen, bro. Let's not talk about MP failing. Look at. I said one thing and very easy. We do census. To plan. But census is not done with the CDF in mind. Okay. Census is done as a whole country development. So when we do census, we look at even areas where that need help most, and that's why you even ask a simple question, hospitali iko mbali na wewe, unapeana kilometer ama meters ama what have you, so that they can also know.
Remember, we have been complaining that the only census that was credible is 20.
No, let's not complain how census is done. All this is government. Let me finish.
You see, if 2009 census was wrong, then meaning the planning that was done from 2009 was wrong.
Listen, what I'm trying to say is, whether census was wrong or not wrong, we do census for
in fact, I want Kavuja to tell me, because the census was not done in the right way. Government has already adopted this census. So you're saying they did census with their own resources, but they cannot use it to plan because they think it was done.
They can use it to plan, but it will misguide them because it's wrong.
But they adopted it.
But who did that census? The government. But we are still complaining that it was wrong. So if it was wrong, then the planning will be wrong.
Let's move on. There are rumors you were in Kango Kajaramogi. Was it you or who was it?
Yes.
You were there?
You saw me there?
In Bondo?
I saw some pictures purporting it was me.
But it was not you?
It was not me.
All right. That is what I want us to talk about. And the politics of the mountain. I think we've done enough of the education sector, though that appears like it's a topic that needs a lot of time again to look at the issues of policy. But Ragalo, let me start with you from this end, because it was touted as an endorsement meeting for the Raila Odinga stab at the presidency. And then Raila Odinga tells us, no, it wasn't. This was just building bridges of peace between one end and the other.
If I bring you back to history a bit,
yes.
Immediately after the handshake, there was this planning that youths from the central region and some representative of women, of disabled, of the old people, that is Wazee, will go to Nyanza.
Yes.
Not specifically Jaramogi's compound. Let me now say Nyanza. And meet the other group, the other side, and they do their handshake and eat together and make merry together. To demystify some of these things and some of the propaganda that have always been used, that the Luos have always been an enemy of the Kikuyu. You get it? And then there was now a plan later that the other group now will also come to this side of the eastern side and meet
the other group. You're talking about Luo Council
now
elders?
The Luo, I'm not saying Luo Council elders. Luo representatives, the elders, yes, the youths, the women, and the disabled, and any other group that is there will come to the Kikuyu side and also come visit them and eat their nyama choma, stay together and what have you. This was to enhance the handshake. That was immediately after handshake.
Yes.
We are now in political times. In political times, anything done is looked like politics.
Handshake is not political?
Handshake was not political. Okay. If we continue how we were, believe you me, we would ban our country in future. Because every election that was done, it was always contested. And it would still be contested whether Raila will be there or not. Okay?
Yes.
And you remember even Martha Karua contested her election bitterly. And many other people contested elections bitterly. And what if we go through the contestations years to come? We'll go the Rwanda way. Okay. So, Raila, the group going the other side, they were talking of the history they had, the stories that happened, and where they have reached. And they were saying, if going forward, this is how we could be, then the son of Jaramogi should be the president. Coming to this side, of which we are coming to this side end of this month, on the 30th,
Okay.
we are going to Nyeri, and you are going to meet this other group, and you are going to have fun.
Okay.
If that will culminate as an endorsement, then let it be. Why? Who would not want to be endorsed?
Right, this is
I
in
would
furtherance to the agenda of the handshake. That is what you're telling us. The meeting at Kangoka Jaramogi, the one that is
actually, it has
gonna happen on the
taken
14th.
too long. It has taken
It
too
should
long.
have-
It would have happened the first year,
enough.
because I was privy of the arrangements of such thing to happen, but it has gone too long. It has reached a point where now we have Ruto, Raila, Mara Tanga, Nini. Now everyone is looking at everything as
The
endorsement.
significance of this visit to Kangoka Jaramogi and what was touted as, of course, it didn't end up as
Endorsement?
an endorsement, and Raila Odinga actually made it clear on Sunday. But the significance of a visit by this council of elders from the Kikuyu community, you just can't play it down and just say it's just about the handshake.
For a long time since independence,
Yes.
we have had kind of a not so good relationship between the people of the mountain and those of the lakeside. And with what happened at Kangoka Jaramogi,
You haven't had because of politics, or it is
Because of
anything
politics.
based on ideology.
because of politics.
Okay.
And before I continue, I need to. There was a time when I was at the university, when during the Sonu days, and Babu Owino was my chairman.
Yes.
And I got the privilege to interact with the people from the lakeside. And with that single privilege, most of the things that I had been told, I came to know that it was not true, because I had been brainwashed to believe that these people are enemies. But after interacting with them at the university, I came to know that that was not the true picture. And fast forward to what now happened the other day in Siaya Bondo. I wish we could, in the spirit of unifying the country and ensuring that we bury the hatchet between we, the people of the mountain, and the people of the Lake region and other places. I want to encourage wazés from all the places across the country to make what we will call intercultural exchanges. Because you wouldn't hate what you don't know. Go interact with them, know about the way of life, their thinking, let them come to your place, do the same. Through those exchanges, will unify the country, and the process of healing has started, and I wish it will continue to other places.
I asked you a specific question. Did you attach any significance beyond the handshake? Did you attach any other significance to that meeting?
Well, the meeting by and large was political. I could see some political themes in the air. I could smell some politics in the air with some sentiments from certain quarters. For example, my old man, Maina Commander,
Yes.
he did say that I will be very disappointed if Baba himself will not be in the ballot. So with such sentiments, I read politics.
Okay. Maina Kamunye, your views as regards that visit by the elders?
I think it was significant because from what I understand and a bit of history, where did the division of the country start? It started with Mzee, Jaramogi, and Kenyatta. So, and if you want to correct that mistake, I think that's what the president said when they were presenting the handshake at the Arabic House. They said they're gonna end what their fathers started. So if they were gonna end what their fathers started, then they have to go back to the genesis, and that's why they went to Bodo. So I think it was a good thing they went there, and that interaction was fine. Also, politics was part of the game, but what
politics?
That of endorsement and whatever. But I didn't hear anybody endorse Raila Amolo Odinga. But you see, politics itself is about perception. Right? Leave alone if any other thing.
Yes.
It's just perception.
It's the optics.
You see, seeing the Kikuyu elders there, seeing the likes of Maina Commander and Jeremiah Kioni there, sitting with the Baba, it talks volume.
Okay.
But one of the things that maybe is interesting is that once they went there, the Kikuyu Council of Elders and the Jury and Jeke disowned that meeting. You get the point? Because they stood in Nyeri. I had a call even in the morning.
I understand there were also there was another group today also doing the same.
You see what happened?
How many council of elders does the
You see
have?
you see what happened, because I have some friends in Nyeri.
Yes.
So they called me in the morning and they told me we are talking about the same topic. They told me what the Kikuyu elders disowned that meeting. Then the Jury and Jeke the same disowned that meeting. They were not consulted. That's what they said. So what have happened is that some division, the chairman of the Kikuyu Council of Elders, Wakiago,
Yes.
he took the group to Bondo. The co-chairman and the Julia Njeke were left out, so they were not consulted. So what happened now?
This was Kikuyu Council of Elders.
Not
Gema.
It's okay, but they didn't went because that Kiama thing is just uniform. It's the one that speaks in the behalf of the community.
Let me ask you, because probably you might have a little bit knowledge. Kiama, Council of Elders, I don't know, Agogoni. Who exactly went to Bondo?
You see, that Council of Elders, Niyo Kiama. You get the point? Just a minute.
I think that's different.
It's different. It's different. Yes, it's different. Yes, but you see, those they talk on behalf of the community. So what they were divided previously, but now they're united, and they say they disown that meeting, and they cannot.
The reason of disowning was
Hold on a minute. Radalo, let me hear him out. Yes, go ahead.
Just a minute. So what they are doing is they disowned that meeting, and they made because previously what I understand that previously they were divided with Julia and Jeke, but now they are united to fight those who went there. You get the point? One thing they said, they don't accept Peter Kenneth.
okay.
We shall talk about Peter Kenneth later.
You get the point?
Okay.
So what happened is, and what I'm saying is, that meeting was necessary, but coming back home, there's some division already in some quarters.
Okay.
So it will be so much interesting to see.
Because of one of the people who was there, or because of the people who went there?
In fact, I'm just waiting to see what will happen in Nyeri, because those elders in Nyeri, if they are complaining that they were not part of those who went there, they were not consulted. How then do they embrace Baba in their own land?
All right.
You get the point?
Eric, I know you're itching to make a point. And as you do that, kindly tell us also, because you're telling us you're private to some of these meetings, how they're planned. Is there a plan to have an interchange, like an exchange, like Wanjohi was proposing? That it is not just because or it is not the Kikuyu Luo exchange. Will we see exchanges from other communities?
Exactly. We will see Kisii community. We will see let me say other communities interested.
Going where?
Visiting each other.
Okay.
And that was one of and in the BBI, don't forget, in the BBI you'll find there is a space for Wazee. They are called I'm forgetting how they were called. In the BBI, like the way we had the summit.
Yes.
You remember the summit in 2002? After election, we had the summit. We will have a space for Wazee. I'm forgetting how they will be called. Who will be assisting in governance from different communities, coming together, forming a council to govern with the president. Okay? And this will be Luos.
Yes.
All the 42 tribes will come together and form a council to assist in governance in the BBI. And this is what is happening. So that everybody will feel part of the government, because you are, even your council itself, your community is inculcated in this. So it's normally obvious when you do a wedding, there are people who come to your wedding with many reasons. Some will come to taste your food and give their thoughts about the meal. Some of them will just come see how you wear your clothes. Some of them, even the way you walk hurts them. Anakanyaga aje si atembe vizuri akiwa na mama kando. So those are people who are always there. You'll never find that when these guys went the other side, everyone will be happy.
Let me ask you, because again, with the benefit of knowledge, how was this meeting planned? The delegation that went to Bondo, was it representative? Why did it appear to be like an undercover mission that would only be on a week?
It wasn't undercover. Maybe you didn't know, or many people didn't know. It was open, and many people knew of this. There were representatives from every sector.
Okay.
And from every region in the Kikuyu nation. And many of them, like now the Kikuyu Council of Elders, the chairman, some people went. Don't tell me the vice didn't know. Let me say the vice knew and just assumed. Okay. And since they are not in good terms with the chairman, they don't want to go, so that they bring havoc and all this. And musema kitu moja, jealousy is the mother of uchawi. Okay? So when you're jealous, the next thing you'll be a witch.
Practicing to be a witch.
You're practicing to be a witch. So when you're too jealous, you become a witch. So don't stop being too jealous. If you don't want to unite with others, don't make too much noise.
Isn't this an indication of how?
Like for example, me, I wasn't in the group. I wasn't invited. Have I complained?
You have not complained.
But am I a member of the Kikuyu nation? Yes.
Yes, you are.
Though I am a Luo, but I'm a member
You're a
because
member of the
this
Kikuyu,
is
of
the
course.
place. But in Nyeri, I will go.
Yes.
As what?
A member of a Kikuyu nation.
Yes.
All right.
Because this is a place I do many of my things.
Okay.
And I believe in where I am. But I didn't go to Bondo. Neither, but I knew.
But you knew the meeting was happening.
Yes.
Isn't this an indication, obviously, with the benefit of what Maina Kamunya is saying, some elders disowning this meeting, isn't it perhaps an indication of how divided the mountain is, that probably based on political lines, I would rather not go even for what you would call a mission that is as important as you tried explaining here?
Well, the mission, the mountain has erupted.
It has?
It has. And after the eruption, people scampered for safety in different directions. Going back to what happened the other day at Kango Jaramogi.
Yes.
The people who attended, and this is for the benefit of the viewers, we have a different factions of Kikuyu elders.
Yes.
We have Kiama Kiama, we have those who went calling themselves Kikuyu Council of Elders, and others.
Duduya or Goni,
Perfect.
something like that?
Yeah. There are quite a number. And their sole responsibility is to kind of guide the community in matters of culture, to make sure that we the people who speak that language preserve our culture.
Yes.
And they are very important when it comes to offering identity to the community. And
Does that include political direction?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
They are supposed to be apolitical. However, when the reason why we are seeing all these divisions and people disowning the meeting is because the Council of Elders, the Kikuyu Council of Elders, went to Kanka Jaramogi and purported to speak for the mountain. And we very well know
Weren't
that
they?
They purported
If they were speaking about peace, weren't they?
They were not.
Okay.
They were not talking about politics.
Hold
They
on
were
a
talking about peace.
They purported, if they were talking about peace, and I had you appear to support efforts to, bring conciliation between these two communities.
Yes.
If they were talking about peace, wouldn't you then say they were representing the voice of Mount Kenya?
They were not. And before they go and now try...
So people from Mount Kenya don't want peace?
We want peace, and we welcome peace.
Then
the thing is, hold your horses. The thing is, before they can now go and purport to speak for the mountain, let them come and clean their own house first.
Okay.
Let them have a meeting between Njuri Ncheke and the others. First, consolidate their back before they can now and go and purport to speak for the mountain.
Let me ask you. Let me just ask you. Njuri Ncheke is a council of the elders representing
the Meru.
The Meru.
And the Dharakas.
Yes, they called Meru because there is lower, mid, and upper Meru. So the Dharakas and they are all in Jorinjeke. But this meeting was there Meru representation really? It was specifically for
Kikuyu.
Merus will be represented at their time.
Right.
So I wonder where Njurinjeke is communicating. Are they communicating now for the Kikuyus or for the Embu? Because Embu,
You're getting me wrong.
Embu also have their called
Kajoya Jorere.
Yes.
The thing is, and this now is my point, that the Kikuyu Council of Elders purported to speak for the mountain.
Okay.
I wish they could have zeroed in and say we were speaking on behalf of the Kikuyu community.
All right, and you make a valid point. As you try, I know you want to have an exchange with him, but before you do, and perhaps the validity of his point is, you already have a mountain that is divided. Look at the chaos we saw in Keno. Actually, splinter groups supporting different camps, and the fights we've seen. Already you've told us about that, those elders from Nyeri who are already speaking against. If you don't have a united Kikuyu community, if you don't have peace amongst yourselves, why would you be able to advocate for peace externally?
Let me tell you something. Yes. And maybe my brother does not have that benefit of the history.
And you have?
Yes, and I'm gonna share with him. So that even if he's going to vote for senator, he knows where to start.
Yes.
You see, elders are very important, very much important in our society, very much important. And let me tell you, my brother, before you vie for that seat, if you don't go past them and they endorse you with their blessings, you're gonna get it tough. Can I ask you a question? What
everybody who gets elected is
just a minute.
By elders?
Of course. Just a minute. Why did Uhuru had to go to Murang'a in 2011 with the late Meshuki?
At Uhuru Stadium.
Yeah, to get endorsed. You get, they are very, these elders are very important in our community. You get the point? They play a very major role because, as I said here, kiama. If I'm mzee of kiama and I'm here in Kiambu, if I go to Nyeri and I would just need to ask, where do these elders meet? They don't need to know me. As long as nimetoa mbuzi huku na nimetoa mbuzi kure, I go sit with them, we share because they are united by that.
I have two friends of mine, personal friends. One is Zach Kinodia, the CS education, and the other one is Solomon Kuria. They were in that meeting. Are they elders?
Get my point. Get my point, JJ. I think that's why we are losing it. Yes. That Bondo meeting was not about Kiku Council of Elders. It was about representation.
Representation of.
I saw women I know from here, Juja. They were there. Yes. Those are not elders. So what they did there, it was not about elders. It was about representation from the mountain.
Yes.
You get the point? That's the beginning.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, when it comes to elders, before they go talk to Baba there, they must have to agree.
Yes.
From Meru, come to Nyeri, go to Laikipia, all of them, they must speak in one voice. When they lost Uhuru in Murang'a, all of them were there, all even Julian Jeke, because they say this is our man. So that when they go back from their village, they start the gospel.
Good point.
You get
They
the
were
point?
Mount of Mount Kenya. Yes. But there were political pronouncements in that meeting, appearing to suggest that this is the direction Mount Kenya is adopting. So are you faulting those pronouncements?
Let me tell you something. Where the Kikuyu Council of Elders still discussing about the future of the community, there will be no politics. Get it from me and go do your research. There will be no politics. If I remember, they had taken Uhuru to praying in Mount Kenya some years back. He never talked. They go, they pray everything, then they come back. No politics. They had done the same with Kenneth.
Yes.
They were going to the mountain. Did the Kenneth speak?
No.
No. You go, if you're going to focus with the Council of Elders, discussing the matter of the region, there's no politics. So what I'm saying there, those that's what I'm saying. It was not about elders. It was about representation. So they were right to speak politics there, because what they said is just their own views, right? So if we are to negotiate, if we are to start making there or whatever, it's their own views. When it comes to that's what the Council of Elders said. When it comes to 2022, the community will speak. And it will speak through the elders.
If I want to add what he's saying, if we now talk of Council of Elders, now let's talk they were Council of Elders, and now talk Ogekoyo, which I know. How do they do their meat? Watajichinjia nyama yao. They don't eat with the spoon. They cut with their own knives that they have here. They cut as they eat. There is no ugali.
There's no women.
Ugali is not, women are not part of it. And there are no children there. And the elders cannot be lower. They cannot make box on their head. Okay? And they cannot be lower over 20, 30 age. They have to be age of purity. We call it age of purity, where you reach an age you can't do nonsense. Let me call them nonsense. Okay? So when you know Ogekoyo, then that was not Ogekoyo. They ate from one plate. There was viazi, there was ugali, there was samaki. Walikuwa nakula kwa mkono, hakukuwa na kisu ya kukata. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. It was not Ogekoyo. It was representation of many groups from Kikuyu Nation coming together to tell Baba, we are here to sit with your community. And then the community, the other side, will come again to represent other people. Because if now we are talking elders from the Luo, then they will act Luo.
And that's why
it will be very difficult for the Kikuyus now to maintain the others, because they will do Luo things and people will think it's witchcraft. And when you do Kikuyu things, the other side, people will think it's witchcraft. Because Mkikuyu will take even the whole nyama naeke kwa moto ianze kuwaka. Wataanza kusema watu wanaomba miungu gani. You understand some of these things? So we were not doing such. We were meeting because of one thing, unity and no war and need. If it will come endorsement na kuweka mtu hizo manguo za Columbus, Manki and what have you, when it comes there, my friend, you can't be there.
Of course I can't be there.
You understand?
Just a minute before you go. That's why, just a minute. That's why Laira Baba is very correct saying that there was no endorsement, because there was not, right? A meeting of such kind, there can never be endorsements.
All right. What was the point? Are you convinced?
Yeah, I'm convinced, but I need to say something.
It's okay.
So we need to kind of divorce the tag, this Kikuyu elders tag from this man, and
Yes.
just called them representation of the Kikuyu community.
Yes.
In Kango Kajaramogi.
At Kango Kajaramogi.
Yeah, they should leave the elders tag.
Obviously, even the touting of the meeting gave the impression it was the Council of Elders that was headed to Kango Kajaramogi. But let's talk about the mounting in itself without even tagging the Council of Elders. And there's something you've talked about. Hold on a minute. And you talked about Peter Kenneth appears to be the conflicting figure when it comes to the direction this community wants to take politically. And probably because you've heard from those elders from Nyeri. What is Peter Kenneth's problem?
You see, it's in our history. The region. One, those who are divorcing Peter Kenneth, one of the reasons is this guy only comes when politics is prime, right? Politics just there. The second thing, to the Jaba, you get this brave man who can a warrior who can defend the community, and that's I can surprise you. If there was to be a poll today to be done between Peter Kenneth and Kabogo, Kabogo will win.
So Peter Kenneth is not a warrior according to you?
Of course, not only to me, to those who are speaking outside there, because that's what they are saying. I'm telling you, those guys.
Not only according to you, even those speaking out there.
Those men that I was talking with in the morning from Nyeri, they are telling me the same.
What are you convinced?
He may be a very good reader,
yes.
But if he's gonna be the kingpin, he have a lot to do to himself, right? To match the rights of Kionjori, to match the rights of Kabogo, and the rights of this guy from Munya. Somebody who can speak and the community feels that we are represented. You get the point? Because Peter Kenneth is good when it comes to delivery, right? But there comes, imagine you get a guy who is the president, like maybe a kind of Peter Kenneth, and you have Ruto as the opposition leader. Where will you be?
You're saying Peter Kenneth has no metal?
I'm saying, get my point. Peter Kenneth, a scenario, Peter Kenneth is the president, and you have an opposition leader, the likes of DP.
If I'm hearing you correct, so that we don't beat around the bush, you're saying Peter Kenneth is not ready to lead the region?
He may be endorsed to be, but I don't think he matches.
For the first time, Kikuyu Nation is finding itself in 2-2.
Yes.
2-2, I mean, in 2002, they had two candidates.
Yes.
They had to make a decision of either.
Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes. Going forward,
yes.
Kibaki brought in Uhuru.
Yes.
And Uhuru fit in. This time, Kikuyu Nation is finding itself not in the ballot.
Okay.
They would be in the ballot, but what I mean not in the ballot, as in as a front runner.
Okay.
So it's finding itself for the first time having non-Kikuyus playing politics in Kikuyu Nation. It brings confusion and the division you see.
You belong to the Kikuyu Nation. Tell me about Peter Kenneth. And why you think is that, talks of being disgruntled?
When I talk about Peter Kenneth, I talk about Muranga. Muranga has become the woman to be wooed. Of all the Kikuyu Nation counties, Muranga is the Kikuyu Nation is the battleground. It is listen, Kikuyu Nation is the battleground.
Yes.
But Muranga is the front run battleground.
What are the interests?
The interests are simple. Muranga has no front runner. You will see in Kiambu, it's the president area. You come here, it's the president area.
Muranga has Peter Kenneth Mwangi wa area.
There is no front runner. As in, they don't have their leader who can push them for them. You understand? So, Muranga, they are at war within themselves. Nyeri has always been known to be a calm nation.
No, Nyeri is never calm.
Nyeri is not calm.
Nyeri is never calm.
Nyeri is actually, I think Nyeri is regarded rebellious.
Yes.
Nyeri,
yes.
I'm saying it is a calm nation. Muranga has never been a calm nation. I'm looking at Muranga has always been a fight.
Randalo, I want you to explain to me what are the interests? Why have you made Muranga the woman that needs to be wooed?
When Nyeri was standing a president, and Kiambu was standing a president, Muranga was deciding who is the president. You understand? Yeah. So Muranga has always been not the calm person. It has always been the decider. You don't need to understand when I said that. Right now, Muranga will still decide where the votes will go.
How many votes they have?
It's not how many votes they have. It's how many votes, where the vote will go. Okay? Muranga is where the war is. And Muranga is the war between the DP.
Has Muranga been decided? Consider that Kibaki
No,
and
I disagree.
Matiba have once contested
Disagree totally.
In an election. I think the year 1992? Yes.
Yes.
But Muranga was not a decider then.
Okay.
was there.
In 1992,
Yes.
Matiba was there.
1970.
And Kibaki too.
Kibaki was there.
Yes.
Who won the votes?
Matiba, 1982.
It
was Moi.
It was Moi.
Yes.
But Matiba won the vote. How? He ate into Kiambu. Okay? But what I'm saying, coming 202, Muranga decided. Muranga took the votes to Nyeri.
No.
And didn't give vote to Kiambu.
Even Kiambu itself didn't vote
Logaro,
for Uhuru Kenyatta.
you are misleading us, my friend.
And then, listen,
Even
the
Kiambu
other
didn't vote for
question, the
Uhuru
question,
In 2002,
Yes.
in 2002,
okay,
the only contest that stood with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta by then were Kiambu and Muranga. Go
2000?
I think 2002.
No.
Just a minute.
Okay.
Just Muranga is one of the
The
other
benefit of statistics.
Let me-
You know how
let
the
me- let
country
me tell-
voted in 2002.
Yes. Kibaki won all the votes in Central, only lost Kiambu.
Yeah.
Kiambu, even Jenga Karume himself went with Kanu. You forgot. So Kanu took Kiambu. Muranga, Kanu didn't take. Muranga went up the other side. So this time Muranga is finding sense in 2-2. 2-2 means Muranga has to decide either it's going with Raila or it's going with Ruto.
Tell me about Peter Kenneth.
So
Ogalo.
Peter Kenneth
Yes.
has already been endorsed by Wazee. Has already been. He was
No.
taken to the forest.
Which was it?
No, my friend.
When he was taken to the forest, he went to do what?
Prayers.
Which prayers are these?
You see, Rogaro.
So they want to
let
pray
me-
for the
let-
rain.
No,
Tell me they were praying
no.
for the rain for
Let me
good
tell you,
roads or what?
It's okay, let me
Okay,
tell you.
what were they praying
Let me
for?
tell you.
But there's also something. There's also,
see,
there's also something.
just
you say-
listen.
Hold on a minute. Because you appear to be contradicting yourself, Maina Kamene.
No.
You said when the Kikuyu nation is endorsing someone, there's no politics in a meeting.
They
like
just
that.
take you
They
there.
just take you
Yes.
there. Wait a minute.
And
Yes.
pray
Yes.
and go out.
That is what they did to Peter Kenneth.
And that's
but
what they
now
did.
you don't believe he was.
That's what they did to Uhuru Kenyatta.
Just a minute.
But you don't believe he was endorsed.
Let me explain the process.
Yes.
Let me explain the process. So what happens? They went there to pray.
For what?
How do you pray? Divine
Okay.
Intervention.
intervention. So when you go there and pray for divine intervention,
Yes.
then you come back. So if the community will be in agreement, those will be in agreement that this is the man, they will endorse him.
Where does the community congregate to an
agree.
agreement?
Yeah? Yes.
Where does the community congregate to be in agreement?
If not community,
Because
the elders,
even the meeting, no, hold on a minute. You talked, if the community is in agreement, then that endorsement is taken as valid. Uhuru Kenyatta was endorsed at Ihora by those elders.
Elders.
Where did the community congregate
Agree.
to agree to Uhuru Kenyatta being
elders
taken?
congregated and agreed.
So, but they
Just a minute,
agreed
just a-
to
just
take
a
him
minute,
to
who
the
congregates
forest.
Just a minute,
exactly
Eric.
and who
Just a minute,
endorses?
Eric. You see, don't rush. I don't need to make my point so that you understand.
Okay.
And you argue from a point of information.
Okay.
You see, when they went there, they went just for prayers. He was invited. You get the point?
Who?
Peter Kenneth.
Peter Kenneth.
So he went there.
Yeah.
After they finished, they said it's just prayers. Everything was done. So I'm saying, if we were singing for divine intervention, then as we go around heading 2022, if they will come to an agreement, those elders.
Maina Kamunya.
Just a minute.
Let me add something. I'm adding something. I'm adding something. After prayers, what happened to Peter Kenneth?
something I want him to tell me.
Was he not
There's something I
given?
want him to tell me.
Let me explain.
Was
Let
it
me
not-
explain. Let me
Hold on a
explain.
minute. There's something I want
After
to tell
prayers, what happened?
Because the elders of the Kikuyu community have been praying.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me the significance of Peter
praying.
Kenneth being in those prayers that time.
Yes.
And secondly, because you told us about the political process of identifying a Kikuyu kingpin, and you took Uhuru Kenyatta through the same process.
It's the same
Is
process.
it because you don't like Peter Kenneth that you think now he
So
was not endorsed by
what's
the
happening, and I will answer these questions,
Yes.
the two of them,
Yes.
the Moranga and this one.
Yes.
So what happens in there, when they went to meet Peter Kenneth,
Yeah.
I think they were praying for, maybe to get whether he'll be the next, that
Or they were praying
intervention.
to get answers from heaven.
That is it.
Whether
With-
he's a
with
good
him
guy.
No,
there.
not from heaven. From the God of Kirinyaga, you get the point. That's one. You get the point. The second thing. No, just I don't finish. Just give me this. Thank you. So what happened after there? Then if they will be if
they'll get intervention.
divine intervention, then they will come and consolidate all of them as elders from the region. Then if they agree that this is a man, then they decide on which stadium to go. And they will invite us.
Let me come in.
Semantics.
Yes.
They were in that meeting, probably asking for divine intervention.
with him there.
No, hold on. Divine intervention. Probably for God to show them whether this is the right person. But they didn't invite Mother Karua or anybody else. It was Peter Kenneth who was in that meeting exactly. Isn't that already an indication that the elders or he's ahead of the pack?
And that answers the question why there is battle in Murang'a. Because Murang'a is the only region in Mount Kenya as we speak that seemingly to have a spokesperson from the region. Get my point? When you look around the region, the only person maybe people think that Uhuru will go to get the next kingpin is in Murang'a.
So Peter Kenneth will be a Murang'a project.
There are rumors that Uhuru Kenyatta will go there. So this battle that you see in Murang'a, it's not about anything else. Brother, the point. They are going there because they know they're standing
finish
there.
this. Kiambu has produced 2 presidents.
Yes.
Kiambu has produced 2 presidents. Nyeri has produced one president. Murang'a has never produced even a prime minister. And Murang'a, so
but one would argue Jomo Kenyatta became president, courtesy of being an MP.
Yes, and Murang'a has only given out their seats to other people. Murang'a gave out the seat to Jomo Kenyatta. Jomo Kenyatta became a prime minister because of that seat. Okay, so this time Murang'a should also produce something. And let me tell him.
And the person who represents that realistic chances,
Peter Kenneth will be the kingpin. Kabogo will not. Kabogo will not.
About Kabogo. I want to hear your views because I
Peter
think the rest have had a banter.
It is.
You've not told us what you think about Peter Kenneth. What is his middle name, by the way? Peter Kenneth. Anyway, go ahead.
I didn't know Kamunya doubles up as a comedian. During that ceremony that Eric and Wakili are talking about, Peter Kenneth was coronated as a Kikuyu cultural ambassador.
Yes.
That is the tag he was given.
Yeah. Ambassador.
Let us now go back to between 2017 and 2022.
Does that mean he is a kingpin?
No, he's not. He's not the kingpin. He's only the cultural ambassador.
But Uhuru Kenyatta has never been the cultural ambassador.
He has never been.
Because he is more than that.
Going into 2022, the Mount Kenya region will be this kind of a lady that everybody will come from north, south, and east to try and woo to get their support. And for the first time, I've seen various political kingpins, quote unquote, emerging. For example, if you go to Meru, we can see the likes of Wakili Peter Munya.
Yes.
When you come to places like Kiambu, we have William Kabogo.
Yes.
Murang'a, we have Mwangi Wairia, Peter Kenneth, and the others. When you go to Laikipia, you have Mwangi Kionjori.
Yes.
However, when you bring the picture of Peter Kenneth
Mother Karua.
And Mother Karua, when you try and scrutinize who Peter Kenneth really is, he's one person we can call a master of inconsistencies.
Who now?
Peter Kenneth.
Okay.
He's very inconsistent. Once he
loses,
he gives a shot to a certain seat. Once he loses, he disappears. 2, he's one person that bearing in mind that politics are very local.
Yes.
The kitchen will be very hot for Peter Kenneth to be in that kitchen. He's not cut from the cloth that we would expect to replace Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He's not. If he cannot match the enthusiasm of William Kabogo, he has no lungs of a dinosaur like Mwangi wa Kionjori. He has a long way to go. And if he wants to speak for the mountain, he has a long way to go. He has an uphill task.
Let's talk about William Kabogo, Eric Regalo. I don't know why you think Peter Kenneth would beat William Kabogo perhaps when it comes to kingmanship in the region.
I want to answer them one question as I come to you. Kibaki was called General Kiguya.
Yes, he was.
As somebody who was not tough enough to be president, who could not marshal up everything, and he's a guy who turned around the economy.
Kibaki was smart.
Just let me finish.
And you're saying Peter Kenneth is
Kibaki was smart than
Peter Kenneth is daft. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Don't look at someone and look at the face value and finish by saying this person is weak.
Would you compare Kibaki's opposition
You can't.
to Peter Kenneth's life in politics?
Now, that is why, that time we used to look at Kibaki oppositionist politics versus Raila, who was there, and many other. When Kibaki was wanted to stand and show leadership, there is no time he was there. But he became the president. He never had a tear gas to his face. He was batoned. He never demonstrated anywhere. But he became a president and turned around the economy. So let's say Peter Kenneth, you need Peter Kenneth to be Kabogo who talks harshly, who can abuse, who can talk whatever he wants.
So Peter Kenneth could be the.
So you want him to be like Moses Kuria, who can walk and go to bars at night, at midnight, and make statements standing on a platform with. I mean, you should look at people. You should look at people not in terms of how they fight. Give someone opportunity and get him
it's
right.
Not given.
I would ask you a question.
You asked me about Kabogo.
No, hold on a minute, because I know you were an ardent supporter of Raila Odinga. Why do you support him?
When I was in college, I joined Raila movement through Rainbow. That is 202.
There's a point I want.
Why do you support
Raila Odinga?
One, I support Raila Odinga because he's been fighting for one openness of democracy.
So, you're telling us not to support somebody who fights.
I'm not fighting negatively because what we are talking about here is he cannot be a leader.
You support Raila Odinga because he's a warrior and a fighter.
Yes,
of course.
Right?
Yes.
But when the mountain believes that Peter Kennedy is not a warrior and a fighter,
you would convince us otherwise.
So let me ask you. I'm answering you. I'm from this community.
Yes.
Basically,
yes.
The same mountain people were saying, who gave Kibaki the name General Kiguya?
It's actually them.
It's actually them, the people of this region.
Yes.
They called Kibaki General Kiguya.
Because
Kibaki was not doing what Matiba was doing and was not doing what Rubia was doing.
Okay.
So he became a General Kiguya. That General Kiguya turned around our economy. So right now,
just a minute. See, you are misleading Kenya, and especially from the region. Let me tell you, you don't become just a president. Right? There's more to be done within the system and the people in government. That's one. Two, Kibaki did not fight physical, but he was smart here. What did he do after he lost 1997? Did he go back to home? He started organizing the region. I remember there's something he formed that was called Eastern and Central Economic Bloc, something like that. That included Meru, Ukambani, all those Giros or whatever.
His DP parts.
You see, the same that this guy was Tangatanga was doing. You balkanize them. You start preparing because you can see a future to be 2022. You get the point. So Kibaki prepared from 1952 to 2002. He was preparing. So even when the Raila was coming in, Kibaki had already formed his own bloc.
So let me ask you a quick question. Why do you dismiss Peter Kenneth for being unprepared? Because how do you know whether his preparedness is covered?
You see, Kibaki's bloc was not formed because Uhuru was there. He took away part of the bloc. We added Kibaki the vote. As they were calling it the Luyas gave Kibaki, the Luos gave Kibaki. Kalenjins and Kiambu only gave Uhuru, and that's how Uhuru lost.
Let me tell you, Eric.
Let's be honest.
Uhuru in 2002 was nowhere to be found.
He lost.
Why?
Why?
So because he was trying to be endorsed, he did not have the grassroots.
That is Uhuru Kenyatta?
Yes, he didn't have. You get the point?
Yes.
Peter Kennedy will be endorsed. He does not have grassroots. Ask him one person he represents from maybe Meru. He doesn't know. But Kibaki by then in being, and I think I said here, when we are talking about if Ruto will be impeached, when you lose that seat in government, that network that bites you to the ground, when you lose that network,
tell me why you think William Kabogo is stronger than Peter Kenneth.
I don't think he's stronger than Peter Kenneth.
But you say what I'm saying is, him, he would be the
my point here is when we are talking about the kingpin, none of them will be the kingpin come 2022. Uhuru Kenyatta will still remain the kingpin, and I'm forcing a situation whereby we shall have a more if Jubilee. And that's what I said. And remember, I said here, William Ruto will not leave Jubilee because if he leaves that Jubilee, then Uhuru takes over that Jubilee. It will be stronger than it is come 2022.
All right, William Kabogo, compared to Peter Kenneth.
You know, we live in a country where we have a very funny electorate. We live in a country where Baba Yao became governor. We live in a country
He's
where...
a Kenyan.
He's a Kenyan. We live in a country where Mike Sonko is governor. We live in a country where musicians and comedians are in parliament. So politics is all about...
It's not just here. There's a comedian in
Yes.
Tell me, we have a president who
There's a
was
DJ in Madagascar.
Of course, Asibora was the president.
The thing is...
We have their rights as president.
What I'm trying to say is, in Africa, it's in Africa, in most democracies in Africa, most electorates don't judge candidates or aspirants based on meritocracy.
And I bet Ukraine is in Africa.
Ukraine?
Yes, they have a comedian as president.
The thing is, what I'm driving home is,
Who is Trump?
most electorates in
Trump
Africa,
is a businessman.
in Africa,
Don't bring
we
those
don't,
jokes.
we kind of, we shun meritocracy
Yes.
and embrace mediocrity. And on that basis, Peter Kenneth will have an uphill task becoming the next kingpin in Mount Kenya.
Your assertions are that people from Mount Kenya will embrace mediocrity.
Don't allow serious people. They go for mediocrity.
Saying the people of this region will actually embrace mediocrity.
Yes.
No.
I will give you an example. In 2013, when Kabogo became the first governor of Kiambu, he came to my village, and you know, we always talk of leaders coming from above. That is, they are crowned from above by God. And now because he comes in a chopper,
Now he comes from above.
now he claims now he's a leader because he comes from above. And the people went to the ballot.
You know what we're going to do? What we're going to do is that we're going to end this show. On Friday, perhaps we'll agree with the list I have.
But you see,
hold on a minute. From the list I have, who is more mediocre than the other? Because you appear to say
That is what you
mediocrity is.
Yes.
Yes.
You need to understand
Yes.
that you're not mediocre. I come from the region.
Yes.
What we're looking for is somebody who can represent the interest of the community. Somebody who have the network. Somebody, if you ask him, you know what do the farmers in Tarakaniti want? He have that crew. Somebody, what do our guys in Laikipia want? He have something to tell you.
I have a list for Friday.
Get.
I have a list for Friday. I have Peter Kenneth, I have Mwangi Wairia, I have Martha Karua, I have William Kabogo, I have Mwangi Kiunjuri, I've got Peter Munya, I have Mutahi Kagwe, I even have Maina Kamanda. I have Uhuru Kenyatta, I have Francis Kimemia, and Joe Nyaga. Can we discuss this, gentlemen, on Friday?
Can I have the
and
last
see who
word?
was a realistic opportunity?
Can I have the last word?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. With all the networks and meritocracy that Uhuru Kenyatta enjoys, coffee farmers are crying, milk farmers are crying, all the farmers in are crying. So
Don't lie. No, you see, JJ. Let me make this clear to him, and I think he need to understand. And I'm finding myself to mentor my brother. Understand this thing. Who is in the executive? These laws are made in parliament. When did the Moses Kuri or Kimani Ichung'wah bring a coffee bill?
but you're the same.
No, just a minute. When?
You're the same person.
Answer my question. When?
The person
They didn't. So don't blame the president. Don't blame the president because of the guy that you elected. They prevent a social bill in the parliament.
Gentlemen, now time
You see,
is done.
so
Thank you very much. See you on Friday. My name is John Jacob Kiri. Continue watching Time for Dialogue. Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Maina Kamunya. See you on Friday. It's a date. Good afternoon. Evening. Kwaheri.